apocalypse is here, slowly expanding across the globe. All hell breaks loose, and everyone is either celebrating or crying. The past chapters have been depressing, albeit stellar and very interesting in content delivery. You would think the trend will continue forward with the end of the world at sight. Surprisingly, this chapter was more lighthearted and entertaining with some laughs. This was a welcoming treat. It's not all sunshine and rainbow, however. There are some dark tones in this chapter as well. From the start, it enters a flashback prior to the event where Haji confronts Marlians. In her time spent protecting Levi, she was forced to kill some Survey Corps member. It could have been a simple protection scene, but the added tear running down on her face made it impacting. It's sad that it has to go down this way. As crazy she can be, she still holds a soft spot for them. Supposedly, Levi was set to transform into a Titan. However, because he's an Aquaman, he survived. Same for the injuries. Does that mean the syringe won't work on him? I always liked their camaraderie. Haji treated his wounds, stitched him up, which needless to say looked pretty rough. His fingers are lost, which is more troubling due to the necessary use for the gear. How he's going to fight will be interesting to see when that time comes. Haji has been struggling for quite some time. Now, the future seems to be set for them that reminisce a similar path as Uprising Arc. In other words, they're criminals or outlaws. The best thing they can do is count on Pixis, who is now deceased, and Armin, who has recently left to search for Falco. You can sense defeat from Haji, and that's sad. I like the small consistent detail on the sequence. Everything happened before the rumbling began. The moment when they were in paths is when you learn their decision was made that led to the last chapter's ending. Levi woke up and the first thing he thought was to find Zeke and kill him. That's a hell of a dedication. I admit, I laugh at that. He was able to survive the blast by placing the sword in front of the explosion. That explains the fingers. Although his vengeance on Zeke is his personal goal, he asked if running and hiding was all they would do. Pretty much, he listened to everything Haji said. Despite the struggling, she wasn't going to stay out, and Levi knows that all too well. Again, I like their companionship. It's more needed than ever. Shifting back to present, in a strange turn of event, Levi and Magiv's interests happen to align. Both share a similar goal to kill Zeke, so in theory, is enough reason to form a pact. Magiv is doubtful, seeing him in a bad state. Even Levi admits to be in a weak state that he can dodge a bullet, but he is willing to give him an ultimatum. That's when you know desperate time calls for desperate measure. Haji doesn't know much of Founding Titan, but it's easy to say it's going to be incredibly tough. Therefore, the simple solution is to form a pact. With the world ending, they might as well work under one mission. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Otherwise, everyone is guaranteed to die, aside from Paradise Island. It's a bit eerie to see people sleeping during the apocalypse. It's not to say no one should be sleeping, but how one can sleep when they know the world is ending. Some are seen to be awake. John looks so depressed at everything. Mikasa can't fathom Eren to be the one to end everything. Ani wonders if her father is safe. Raina is still down and out. It's kind of depressing. Armin and Gabi are still searching for Connie and Falco, which is the next focus. While I don't like Connie's action to use Falco to save his mother, I still respect him, especially when he now has second thoughts on the matter. His target is set, but the guilt is beginning to haunt him. He's not a bad guy, just a poor soul that was sent to a hellish environment. I pity him. Asking Sasha makes it worse. Her death really stung him. The loss of a best friend can make a man feel lonely. As they draw closer to the destination, Falco quickly realizes what's happening. I'm surprised that he caught on quick, though I like the fact he's not so careless. He's well aware of the situation, from Gabi killing Sasha to Connie pretending to be a friend. It would have been easier if Falco remained clueless. Instead, it only added more pressure. Connie's mother is still in the same place for years. I can't imagine the feeling of unable to move at all. The sensation plays off like a horror film, where a stranger, Connie, is about to harm the innocent, Falco. Hilariously, Connie puts a horrible poker face on and tells him to brush a Titan's teeth. It's so random, it's hilarious. It's like a spoof writer wrote this. Still, Connie's intention is set, and he won't back off. Army and Gabi arrive in time to stop Connie. Falco doesn't know he's a Jaw Titan or what happened to Porco. Connie is completely desperate to save his only family, won't listen to what Army has to say. It saves the time from saying typical lines about what's right and wrong. Even so, it's pity for Connie to what essentially forced him to stoop this low. It's not like he's a real douche, just lost in the matter. Army has no word to say. Remembering the integrity of Erwin, he recovers and goes for a literal suicide approach before Connie finishes climbing. Army reaches on the ledge, contemplating the action he's about to do. The scene rapidly grows unnerving. The fact he's actually going to suicide to calm the situation is disheartening. I actually like this because it's two guys who basically hit rock bottom confronting in a twisted way. It's like seeing who can hit the lowest first. Fortunately, Connie won't let it happen, saving Army from fulfilling his dream. Gabi and Falco are back together, but it must be hard for him to learn what happened, especially his older brother. That even stings me. Connie has a second thought. It's best for him to remain as a soldier his mother wanted him to be, not as a backstabber. Therefore, he wants to return and save people. It's a good heartfelt moment. I don't know if Army's mind is straight again, but Connie looks to be back to normal. Only time will tell. The mystery of the missing scarf ends here. It was Louise, and sadly, according to her, she's on her literal deathbed. Mikasa had a hunch that it was her. I appreciate the characters not playing dumb, or rather not bright enough to think the likely possibilities. Louise only wore it because she truly admired Mikasa. I have to say, it's a little sad to see her dying. She does have a history as a kid who witnessed a role model. The real interesting piece lies from the moment before she took it herself. She spoke to Eren about Mikasa, but his response was to get rid of the scarf. I'm still perplexed on why he's so hell-bent to break all ties with her. I know there's a lot more going on that is not on display. The closest we got is during his time in the memory trip. Something is definitely up. Mikasa takes it back and leaves her alone. Kind of sad for her last day to be alone without her idol. This series isn't kind to anyone. The army of colossal titans is almost gone, so it's time for the Jaegerists to celebrate the supreme victory. Quite the disgusting nature of people all cool about destroying the world. It gets more disgusting when you learn Floch is the representative. His death must be gloriously satisfying for enduring this crap. Jean is depressing to look at. You can tell he's lost in this cruel world. The next scene is pretty hilarious. Army and others arrive at the feast. Army and Connie discuss about Ani's possible return. It just so happens that next to them, Ani was casually eating a slice of pie. They all look at her like their mind couldn't register her existence. I can't blame them when she has a silly face. Never would I expect this is the way they would reunite. Next to the famous betrayal scene, this is Isayama Sensei's way to get to the point, now done in a humorous way. 4 years later, and her first move in the reunion is gobbling down a pie. Definitely didn't see it coming. I did enjoy Hitch and Ani hanging out in the last chapter, but sadly, it has to end. Ani left with others with a letter for Hitch. It's basically a thank you message, but coming from her is special. She may be cold outside, but she does have a heart. The message speaks out her gratitude for Hitch's action, saying goodbye for one last time. It's sweet that the panel doesn't show Hitch's reaction, but you can draw an idea that she was touched by Ani's message. A shame they ended here, but the friendship won't be forgotten. The sensation returns to Crab when the scene shifts back to Floch and his regime. It is execution time, and the criminals are Yerlena and Oya Compone. Executing them will grant them the reign over the island, at least according to Floch. But the man is a whack job anyway. He calls Yelena out on her crimes, marking her as the worst criminal ever. The spouting nonsense from citizens paint them as racist, vile creatures. Who needs Titans to cause destruction when you have human? Yelena is out of her mind. She is waiting to get shot to get it over with. I'm beginning to feel a little sympathy for her. If that is the case, then Floch is doing something right. The calling on Oya Capone's crimes frustrated me a lot. He will be executed because he doesn't want to work with them. The worst part is, his past actions were only for the sake of everyone. He thought he was helping his homeland as well as theirs. And this is how they will repay him? Pathetic. The series did a good job to keep his hands clean. While I can't understand the reason to execute Yelena, his is unwarranted. I felt generally bad when he cries out, expressing his frustration on everything. He's a simple man who wanted peace one way or another. It feels rather close to home. That's life for you. John is his executioner, preparing to shoot him. Earlier, he looked like a shell of his former self. That contributed to this moment to give fans an impression that he has stooped this low to execute an innocent man. At least compared to everyone there. He shoots 4 times, but miss. He looks so out of it. I would have bought the idea of him completely disarrayed from life itself. Floch is sadly not a fool to notice something as odd. Well, forget about that, because Card Titan appears out of nowhere and start attacking. Talk about real-time event. It goes after Floch. Soon, Pieck will become the best character ever. Sadly, John will become the worst for saving his life. Even in death, I will be upset. However, it's all part of the plan. The attack wasn't intended to kill Floch, though I would have been all in. Coincidentally, it ate Yelena and Oya Capone as well. It's a ruse to escort them and John out of there and group up with others. The 4 shots was a code to continue the operation. It would have been funny if he was a lousy shooter, but this is neat nonetheless. Mikasa is with Army and others. I'll talk about the pacing later. They're stealing the supplies from the Jaegerists, or more like taking them back. Before departure, someone looks outside from the window, and only Ani notices. I'm not sure where this leads to, but I doubt it is Zeke. It could be possible, but why would he be there though? It could be Shadi's, though again, not sure the ploy behind this silhouette mystery. As previously stated, Card Titan escorted John and the 2 out of there. I laugh at Haji's insult on Pieck and the Titan's hygiene. I suppose the punchline is Titan's teeth. The twist is, John has turned to their side since last night. He could have stayed with the Jaegerists, even if it's with the King of Douche. Hell, he could have locked himself inside, ignoring everything. But his heart told him to never forget the fallen. A grim reminder is to remember the ashes. He's slowly recovering, so hope for the best. Saving Oya Capone is a good start. Surprisingly, Yelena was spared as well. It was only because of Maga's request. Plus, they want her alive for some reason. Perhaps it's to obtain intel on Zeke's whereabouts since she has a connection. There could be a personal reason, but we'll see where this leads to. All in all, the faction is growing. Only one is missing. Reiner is still sleeping, supposedly for another 2 to 3 days. That won't do, so Ani does the favor by kicking him so hard. That's funny, and so in character of her to do something like that. Imagine waking up to see an old friend that was crystallized for 4 years. Imagine waking up to see 2 opposing forces unite. That's Reiner in a nutshell. I bet he was hoping to wake up when everyone is dead. Connie, now with a newly determined face, sets the record straight and tell them to get ready. Their mission? To save the world. Only he will phrase it the way it sounded. Straight up heroic. This is written by a guy who used the magazine cover to draw a meme reference with his characters. It wouldn't surprise me if that's the case. All it was missing was the theme song playing. Before closing the review, as much as I enjoyed the chapter, The only issue I have is the pacing. It's a weird feeling because when I read it a second time, it felt natural. However, it feels fast when compared to other chapters. In a weird sense, it's too fast for this series, while another would feel right. The part with Army and Connie could use 2 or more pages to conclude. The rest, I believe it will be explained in the next couple of chapters. Supposedly, this is the last chapter of a volume. The intention was probably to end strong and leave the explanation later. This is how the series rolls sometimes, so don't be surprised if that's the case. Regardless, it was fast, but no time for minor stuff, I suppose. Overall, I thought this was a pretty entertaining chapter. It's different in tone and compare, but delivered a good quality content. It doesn't hurt to lighten up. We have an apocalypse already. We don't have to go deeper into the abyss. There were plenty of good light-hearted moments. As quick as the pacing was, the moments were felt, and certain mysteries continue to pique my interest. Everyone is coming together to prevent the massacre. Recalling the audio from the event, it won't be simple. For all we know, this could be the last bright spot. Hopefully not, but you never know. And that will do it for the review. I hope you enjoyed this one. What do you think of this chapter? Share your thoughts in the comment section. If you like this and want more of this, subscribe to my channel and my world will be yours to stay. Until next time, take care.